Welcome back to Dove Twang. I'm Dave. So we're going to get going here in just a second with this piece in C. Um, but first, just real quick kind of announcement, I guess, about Patreon. And a thank you, first of all, for everybody who has supported us on this channel through Square and Patreon, and just every kind of participation on this channel and all of the efforts of Dove Twang in the last couple of years. I just can't say enough about how much we appreciate it. Our latest kind of venture with this is Patreon. So I think we're going on our 9th week. So what we have set up right now, there's just one level of support. You can write whatever amount you want in there, I think. But for $5, that's the only one that we have kind of assigned over there. You get an additional ad-free lesson each week. So that's in addition to YouTube. So we're going on our 9th week. So if you signed up today, there's 8 lessons sitting there waiting for you, and that's $5 a month. So I don't spend a lot of time, on the sales pitches and stuff or whatever, but it's more of a thank you, really, because I know a lot of you are just, have maybe feel like you've gotten a lot of use out of the channel in the last couple of years. It's just a way to, help us kind of keep doing what we're doing and keep on going and producing quality content for you all and having a good time. So enough business, right? Let's jump right in here. Now, today, I'm going to show you, we might do a follow-up on this. We're in C, just like we have been for the last couple of videos. I think last week we did one that was just a C, and we went to a G. We kind of compared it to Bertha by the Dead, kind of slowed down. Well, this backing track, I'll just put it on and we'll kind of look at it real quick together. It's very similar. I raised the tempo a little bit and just made it more of a song format, right? So it goes down to the F. Little turnaround. C to G. Now here's the top. 2 measures of C. G for 2. F for 2. Okay. Now, I'm going to turn it off for just a second before we really get going here. And let me just tell you here's the plan. Is we've been doing a lot of stuff with different kinds of triad shapes and kind of, using CAGED shapes and things to sort of set us up for rhythmic moves as well as melodic frameworks around the neck, okay? And this is just continuing in that direction. Now, today we're going to be pretty specific about this. I'm going to play, we're going to use 2 positions or shapes for each one of the chords, okay? Starting with the C, and they're going to be very typical of one another. You'll see what I mean in a second. So C, now it's a regular C chord there, but I'm kind of limiting it to the D, G, and B string, right? So 4, 3, and 2, if you're talking numbered of strings. Okay, so that's a shape for C. And then on those same strings, I'm kind of taking that from the larger shape, that form of major. Now they're all major. Okay, every chord we just went through in that track is major. So we've got. Okay, then if I go to G, I can just move that whole business up here. Now I've got to bar it, differently because, right, but it's that same, right? Just like I moved a C all up to here. And then, of course, so the root, even though I'm not playing it, would be located right there, the lower root. that's a root also. Part of the reason I'm not duplicating the root, because we already have one, right? And it just makes a nice compact feeling shape right there. And then if I use that as a reference point, I come up and I see that that's my other form for G. So I've got, okay. Now, this is going to be an easy one because if our next chord is F, 2 doors down, and see how that's, okay. And then back to the C. This time I'll go up here. All right. So if any of that didn't kind of come together for you, back it up and watch the last 90 seconds of this video again or whatever, right? That's important because a lot of these lessons, they're built on, they're stacked, they're scaffolded, right? They depend on, one thing that's kind of been mortared in before you put the next thing on top, right? Sort of a pyramid model. So now, one real simple routine we could do is to just kind of move around, and the ones that we have 2 measures for, we could really take our time with that. Now, it sounds like it went to the F. So here we are at the top. Okay, so on the ones where I just had 1 measure's worth of time, I just kind of stayed on the same shape, right? Now, this is going to look familiar to many of you, but here's another kind of system of licks that's taken from those shapes. Here we go from the top. Sure, that looks very familiar to many of you, but let's look at this a little bit closer. So we've got, these are pieces of triads. You probably learned songs and riffs that just have those shapes, right? Right. So you're leaving some of the notes out, but you can still clearly hear and have a sense of what chord you're on there. And so these are very nice ways of connecting to within a position. Okay. Kind of started just anywhere in there, I guess wherever my mind left off with the backing track. But hopefully you can see right away that, that if I moved this sound up from the 4, 3, and 2 string to the 3, 2, and 1 strings, don't get confused. I could finger it like this. Okay. And then I could derive from that or extract or lift out of there these. Okay. Now, I'm not talking too much about exactly what notes I'm playing here, but each one has a muted string or unplayed string in the center. Right. And if I do it down here. Same thing. You're taking the outer two. Okay. And we've got, and in between, we're following sort of like a major pentatonic or major scale for each one of those root notes. Like the shape is the same for every one of them. Now, this is what makes this very useful. And then in a couple days, we'll take this framework and we'll start to use it to connect more scale tones and sort of a diatonic sound, like I did in the intro today. The intro today was sort of a look ahead of what I'm actually showing you here right now, but I did that intentionally. So this is our routine right now, and you can make a lot of music just using the stuff that we just talked about. Boy, we keep getting lucky, don't we? I think for many folks out there, that routine at that tempo with that kind of repetition is really going to be helpful. Okay. Some of you are going to be like, okay, I kind of got that. And like, what's the next thing? And that you go ahead and start exploring, right? You could see I put some of the extra, kind of moves and melodic, uh, sequences and bends and things in there. But, stick to that. Make sure you can really, even if that's something you're somewhat familiar with or practiced at, you know, spend time on that for a couple of days and just make sure that you're really getting around the neck like that. Okay. You notice that sometimes, at first I was always starting it in kind of that offset, um, arrangement, right? But when I started to move around, sometimes when I go down, I just start up on the the higher version, right? So say I went from the C, instead of starting here for the G, I might go. Right? So just changing directions and just knowing where you are. That's the real goal for this session, right? And stay in that kind of, eighth note feel. You can go faster if you want, but you let it all add up so that when you change it, you mess around with, experiment with different ways of sliding into the downbeat and so forth. I think you'll notice right away that it sounds nice and it feels really good. And those are two things that we always want to be experiencing when we're dealing with our guitar, right? So I'm going to wait also to kind of hear from you all about how this goes, and if we're ready to go to the next thing, and what's the ideas that you have about it. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you.